Welcome back to another episode of On The Go. I'm your host, Adam Reid. It's great to have you back again this week to talk about our chef philosophy. Of course, as you know, chef stands for cooking healthy, edible foods that will leave your family and friends savoring for more. Having said that, it's no surprise you're late from work, you've got to pick up the kids, and you have to cook a healthy meal before you head off to your next appointment. Trust me, I've been there. On today's show, we've got a great recipe that not only tastes good and looks good, but also is affordable and easy to make. So sit right there, you do not want to miss this, all that and more, right here on The Go. What better place to be than cooking a steak than Linguini's Ristorante right here in Montreal, one of the best restaurants I can find. You know what? I'm gonna roll my sleeves up on this one because I am excited about the meal that we have today. We're gonna be doing steaks. Now, I mentioned to you before, when you're cooking a steak, you want something that looks good. You want color. One of the reasons why I chose these multicolored, take a look at these peppers, look at that. You see that? Now that's gonna be great because that's gonna appeal to the person that's gonna be eating the meal as well as just giving it a great presentation. Now, very important, your onion and your garlic. Now I know what you're thinking. Number one combo for not getting a kiss at the end of the meal, I know that. However, it just adds that zest, that boom, that taste that we need to make a great steak. That's why I decided to add it in. Of course, we have our oil and balsamic vinegar, of course, that we need. Now the balsamic vinegar is great because what we're gonna do is we're gonna let a little bit of that simmer, and you're gonna let the steak simmer in that, and that's gonna absorb it as it's cooking. It's a little bit of a secret. You might wanna try that at home, and that's really gonna give it the taste that you're looking for. And last but not least, of course, a small half a glass of red wine, something that's very traditional cooking your steak in, and that's what we're gonna use on today's show as far as the ingredients are concerned. And last but not least, the meat. We're looking at a tenderized round steak, $3, $3.50, $4 at the store. It's easy to make a great steak when you're paying $35 a head. What happens if you've got a steak that's $4 or $5? That's affordable, that's within your budget. That's what we're gonna do on today's show, so let's get cooking. Okay, so we're gonna get started. We're gonna start with the meat, because the meat, of course, cooks real fast. We're gonna come get our peppers here. Now, when you're talking about peppers, one of the things that you wanna do, I find these a little bit too long. You see the size of these? A little bit too long. So what you want to do is you want to cut that half size. Look at that, look at that. Makes for a perfect bite size, and that's where you want to keep all your peppers and your onions. So we're going to take our peppers here, add a little bit of oil, take a little bit of red, give it some color. Look at that, look at that. A little bit of orange, a little bit of green. Now, before I mentioned to you as far as the balsamic vinegar was a great addition to your meal, that's what we're going to add here. Not too much, a little bit for taste. Now, the onions, very important. When you're slicing your onions, same thing. You want to keep it bite-sized. Why? Because you want everything, of course, to fit perfectly in the mouth. A piece of onion, a piece of green, a piece of steak, and of course a little piece of garlic. It's going to make for a great combo. So, we're going to add a little bit of onion there. Say goodbye to our girlfriend there on that one, that's for sure. Add a little bit of garlic. And last but not least, the wine. Now the wine's a little bit tricky. I always like putting a little bit of wine before the steak is cooking, and then after we'll add a little bit more. So just drop a little bit in there. We're gonna let that simmer, and we'll see what comes up. Now that the meal's been simmering there for the last 5 minutes, very important note. You don't want to leave your vegetables in there too long because they're going to become soggy and just not attractive to look at. We want that crunch in our vegetables. As far as the meal's concerned, we're at the last step of the game. We want to add a little bit of wine just for taste here to give it that punch, that zest we're looking for. And believe it or not, within a couple of minutes, it's going to be ready to be served. Okay, so it's time to serve the meal. We want to put the steak here. We want to present the steak in a way that people are really going to be attracted to. So one of the things I love to do is just cut it up in these little slices here, just like this. And just position it right here in the middle of the plate. Now, one of the things that's very important that one chef that I actually met just recently told me is there's a lot of psychology in cooking, in the sense that when you have a big plate and a very small portion, a lot of people think it's very high-end meat, very high-end plate. So that could be very good for your eye candy. So we're just going to add the last little pieces here in the form of a mountain. That, put a piece there. And of course, you guessed it, it's time to serve the vegetables, which of course go right on top of that. Put that right there. Look at that. So what you want to do there is just try and centralize your plate, centralize the vegetables, really make it appealing to look at. And last but not least, any great chef will tell you parsley makes for great decoration. So you want to add a little bit of parsley there on top of the plate. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at that. beautiful steak. Let's pull up our price tracker right here. We're talking about $1.60 for the green peppers. Talking $1.60, of course, for the other two peppers as well. We've got our onions, our garlic that equaled 50 cents. And last but not least, the steaks. Surprisingly, were $4.50. The total, of course, $1.50, $1.50, $3, $4.50 for your steak, $7.50. Ladies and gentlemen, $7.50. I know you can't beat that. Having said that, as far as I'm concerned, after the break, Justin Gable had a chance of meeting the people from Organic Beef out west in Calgary. And of course, as far as I'm concerned, I'll see you next week. And remember, hunger is the best sauce in the world. I'll see you next week.